Hi, we're here today with Feili Lee, who's a mom of three, and she's going to tell us about her experience during her pregnancy and the unsolicited advice that she received. Hi, Feili, how are you?
I'm good, Sandy. It's my great pleasure to have the opportunity to share my experience with everyone. My name is Feili Lee. I come to United States when I was 20 for college. And now I am reside in Southern California, and I'm a mother of three grown boy. And I'm doing marketing for a technology company right now.
Wonderful. And I know that you had a lot of difficulty during your pregnancy. Can you tell us a little bit about what happened?
Yes, my decision to start a family come quite late compared to other people. So I already passed my 30. So the decision of having a child was really important for me because a lot of people always start commenting the biological clock and your egg might be not in good quality. You might have a chance of a defect or Down syndrome kid if you don't start sooner. And I was at that point that I make a decision I want to start. But my career just took off that time. I was a sales manager. I was doing really well, but I travel a lot. And family support, I didn't really have a lot of family support because I was in the United States myself. So I had to plan ahead and think about the childcare, the finance, and also my career. Most importantly, am I be able to continue my lifestyle, traveling a lot and go to a lot of the conference all the time? So that wasn't easy. And my health too, because I heard a lot of problem about older women having a child goes through some high blood pressure, some of the condition that causes a lot of miscarriages. So that was a big concern for me.
It's always a concern when there's potential health issues, but now you had a really big health issue. Can you tell us about that?
Yes. So I at that time, this is related to my third pregnancy. At that time, I already had my first child, who was about 6 years old. My second child was just a little bit over a year old, and I was still nursing him. And I found out I was pregnant. It wasn't really planned. And because prior to that, I was being told that I have a fibroid growing in my body. Then the doctor was asked me to take my ovary out. So it came kind of a surprise. And then my one OBGYN was telling me I'm too old. So there's no way I can have a kids again. And the other doctor, after my second opinion, I see the other doctor and he said, you are still young, go ahead. So into my pregnancy, about 6.5 months, which I was still nursing my second child, I noticed some lump in my breast. And I was thinking this probably just a male dog like clock because I don't pump as frequently as I should. So during the one OBGYN appointment, I showed to my doctor and he feel like 3 lumps. And he said, let's take the action to just do ultrasound for the peace of mind. So I went ahead, like a couple of weeks later, I wasn't really think about that anything could happen to me. And that was a day I will never forget because I went to do the ultrasound, end up with very intense result. The doctor won't let me go that after the diagnosis. He said, you have breast cancer, very aggressive. You got to immediately go and see oncology, cancer surgeon, everybody that you can meet right now. And it was a big shock because I was 6.5 months pregnant with two young kids at home. And I basically was all by myself. I was shocked beyond belief. And decision whether to continue my pregnancy was a big challenge for me because the doctor say, save your life. So when I try to press the question, how much time I have left, he say, I never see any breast cancer acting like this. I can tell you, you might only have few weeks, few months. I can give you the answer, but it's going really crazy, going really fast. I can tell you from the ultrasound. I just look at it. So anyway, the following couple of weeks, I was going crazy, crying most of the time, and try to see what I can do. And the decision was to come to like, should I abort the child? Which after much thought about it, I decided to keep it because I have a live a good life. That's what I always say. I live a good life. The kids deserve a chance. So eventually I went through three different doctors, and the doctor finally decided, he said, your pregnancy should continue. We will give you steroid for the baby, and we might get him out sooner, but we can start the chemotherapy almost immediately, because the tumor board has decided my case. He said the baby already, the major organ already grown. So he said, you can continue your pregnancy with the baby still in you and do the chemotherapy immediately to stop the cancer from spreading too fast.
There's nothing scarier than that. And
yes.
The decisions that you have to make are almost overwhelming, on top
yes.
of the fact that you're so fearful for your life. I mean, there's nothing like this. So please tell us, what happened, because obviously we know you're still here.
Oh, yes. So first of all, I think knowing that I had a cancer and very aggressive one, stage 2 and above, it really was shocking. And I really feel like I didn't have much time left based on what the doctor suggested me. So my decision was like, what I can do when I only have so little time on my hand to do the estate planning, to plan for the worst case, because my kid was only 5 years and 1 year. So I had to stop breastfeeding, which was really, really hard for me, because my second son keep coming to me naturally, and I have to push him away, so I can do it. And then do all the planning, just what I can do to leave something for the kids. How can the arrangement, who's going to take care of my kids after I'm gone. So I have to make all the arrangement, write down the will and my funeral arrangement, and also by the same time talk to a different doctor. And I went to 2 different doctors at first. They are all male, so they were telling me just cut the breast off and take the baby out, and which was like, wow, you guys have no idea what the loss impact is going to be. So I eventually found the third doctor, which was a woman, and she also was a breast cancer survivor, so she can relate it to me so much better. And she's younger in her age, similar to my age. So she would know all the issue I've been running, and she was very encouraging. So that helps a lot. And so I started the chemo. Then I took some time off, and to have a baby, they do the cesarean to develop my baby. At the same time, another thing happened is my father just got really ill in Asia, and I got a notification that he's probably not going to last. So this all come at the same time. And so first of all, I had a baby. I get a good rest for a couple of weeks, and then I got the news that my father passed away. And back then, it's not COVID, but it's the other one. It was just the birth flu just started it. And I was debating whether I should go or not. But I mean, the decision come back. This is my last chance to say goodbye to my dad. So during the chemo, I told my doctor, I need to leave for a week. I need to stop this, and I need to rush back. So I make it back for a week and have my then boyfriend take care of both kids, and then make the trip and finish funeral service, and came back and continue my chemo. Then after the second round of chemo, and then I have a break, and then I had the surgery to remove both my breasts. And that was hard because my breast, the cancer was found in my left breast. But my decision as a younger woman, I have so much higher probability of having cancer again. So my decision is to do a double mastectomy. So that's what I did. And I think that was one of the best decisions I ever made in my life.
I think the other great decision that you made was to actually get a second opinion and go to another doctor rather than take the advice of just the first doctor.
Yes.
Yeah.
And my journey didn't just stop right there, because after the chemo, the surgery, they found out the cancer still in my lymph nodes. So I had to do the radiation. I have to do like 2 runs of radiation. And on top of that, I have to consider reconstruction. And because the radiation, I really affected my skin texture. So I actually lost one of the implants because it just busted. So I have to find another doctor after like 6 or 7 months wait. Then I do the skin graft, which take my belly off to make a skin on my left breast to make a fake breast. On top of that, I think my struggle is also because I didn't have a very strong support. And also the support group that I try to attend to some of the breast cancer, they are much older women. A lot of women are post-menopause. So not really a lot of people can relate it to what I was going through, because I still want to have an intimacy relationship with my partner. I still worry about, the hormone change, being forcing the menopause so early in my life, in my 40, way ahead of everything. So everything come together, like what's the most important? How can I still, am I going to lose my partner? Because when I went to the support group, I see a lot of women go through divorce when they were diagnosed with cancer, because the men simply just walk away and say, I can't handle the stress of dealing with this, too much for me. So for me, I was so worried about that would happen to me. So I was trying to make sure I have a control of the relationship and make the best arrangement for my child. And then also how to continue have a good relationship with my partner. So anyway, that was a very unforgettable year, the journey that I had.
It's just incredible, that amount of resiliency and strength that you have to find and dig deep for. It's really noble. On top, were you able to keep your job? Because I know that was an issue too.
Well, I was lucky enough I couldn't keep my job, but then they were giving me a lot of pressure to come back sooner, because I had to take the maternity leave off, and then the surgery was a big surgery. It's like remove my whole tummy, and I had to be in the intensive care for 5 days, and then I had to fully recover and do a lot more surgery after that. So it was tough, but then I eventually made it. My company was good. Not perfect, but I think they support it, and I get to keep my job. That's most important, because the medical bill was very, very expensive for all the treatment I got. So I'm very grateful to have the company insurance to cover, and then I have a good nanny to help me during those time. I think another tough thing I had to go through is when I was diagnosed with breast cancer, a lot of unsolicited advice came to me, or blame, like my mom. Because when she first heard about it, she was saying I must did something wrong. Am I eating something wrong? My lifestyle was not good. So she kept trying to figure out what went wrong with me. Then the second thing, she want to take my kids away, because she want to, for her reasons, she think it's better to have someone take care of my kids for if I die. And so she was trying to arrange to send my brother to come here to take my kids, especially the newborn. So that was a big struggle, I think, but that turned into a motive for me to try to live. I said, I'm going to live. I'm not letting her to destroy my family, especially I say the 3 boys would never live apart until they grown up. So.
And I'm sure you just needed your children there for the emotional support that they were able to give you too. Just knowing that they're there and that you would be there for them is so important.
Yeah, I want to spend the rest of my life with them. I mean, the best I can to care for them, because they were so young. They didn't know what's going on with me. So I want to spend every moment with them. I do not want things change because my own health. Then they're being sent to a different family and live a totally different lifestyle, like in Asia, different education. So that was my big concern. I said that was a big no. I don't want to see that happen to them.
And they wouldn't have even been in this country, correct?
Yeah, I mean, but they were born and raised here. But if my mom was interfere with all this decision, they would have to be sent to oversee in the place that they never familiar with. So that was a very, tough things. Like, I do not want them to go through what I went through as a child, because in Asia, the education and everything was very, very tough for someone to survive.
Yeah. So is there any advice that you could give someone who is going through something similar, or just having a lot of challenges while they're pregnant?
I think the most important thing, that the key takeaway from my experience is early detection. So never think that you will be the exception. I think when I was younger, I heard a lot of people talk about breast cancer. Everybody think about that was genetic. There was somebody do something wrong. But honestly, my lesson learned is, and it can happen to anybody at any age. You can be young, you can be old, and a lot of people thought that breast cancer only happened to women post-menopause, which is not true. There's a lot more women being diagnosed way younger, especially during the pregnancy, because, for example, my breast cancer was triggered by the hormone. And during your pregnancy, it actually, the activity and everything, the nutrient is get even feeding the cancer, it should grow a lot faster. And my second advice is trust the professional, because I was lucky. I went to the almost third opinion to find my doctor that can really work with me really well, and also I do whatever she told me to do, because I have a friend. She took the alternative route to do the vitamin C infusion treatment instead of chemo. So, I mean, little into like 6 months when we know each other, and she told me she lost her vision. She couldn't see things well, and she don't know why. So I think several months later, she told me she found out she has a brain tumor, very possibly come from the breast cancer that spread into her brain. So she died. So for me, and she also had the 2 kids. And for me, that was like, I feel so lucky because I did what I did. Because my mom that time was suggesting I go get a massage to dissolve all the tumor that I have. She said she knows someone very good. And I would say, no, I'm not taking the chance on this. For my friend, I don't want to say that she did something wrong, but I think she decided not to do with chemo that probably cost her life and the family. So I just always say, trust the professional, find someone you can work with, and then do what they suggest you to do.
That's great advice. And I'm so sorry for the loss of your father and your friend. It's just a lot that you've been through in your life, and you are really strong and inspirational. Yes. Thank you for being here with us.